I want to tell you what's on my mind now, besides being in this lovely place with you and with Ruby. My daughter lives in Israel, and she lives in Tel Aviv. And I spoke with her this morning, and as you know, this horrible conflict is taking place. And very close to her house, missiles landed. And now I spoke with her this morning, and she's obviously very frightened. And my grandchildren, who are 2 and 5, they've finally come to the realization that they're getting shelled. And it's a tough time. And as much as I am here, I'm very mindful of them. So as we go through this service, I just would hopefully that you be mindful of them too. Not just of them, but of just the suffering that's taking place. And it's not just the suffering for the Israelis, it's the suffering for the Palestinians, for everyone, because they're all victims of politics. And as much as my children and grandchildren, my son-in-law, are frightened, I can imagine all the people, not only Israelis, but Palestinians, people in Gaza, they're terrified. And just want us to be mindful of them and think about them, because I'm thinking about them. Thank you. So, we are going to continue as we call to worship with the Baruch Hu, and I'm going to ask you to rise, page 133.
La
seated. Let me continue on page 134. We praise you, God, creator of the universe. We are grateful for the new day, for morning sun and evening star, for flowering trees and flowing tides, for life-living rains and cooling breezes, the earth's constant turning, the changing seasons, the cycle of growth and decay, of life and death. How miraculous are your works. In wisdom you have made them all. The heavens declare your glory, the earth reveals your creative power. You form light and darkness, ordain good out of evil, bring harmony in nature and peace to the human heart. We join together on page 135 at the top of the page. Great has been your love for us, and your compassion boundless. Our ancestors put their trust in you as they learned the laws of life. Be gracious to us that we may understand and fulfill the teachings of your word. Enlighten our eyes to the Torah that we may live by your commandments. Unite our hearts in love and reverence. We trust in you and rejoice in your guiding power, for from you comes our help. You have called us and drawn us near to you to serve you in faithfulness. Joyfully we lift up our voices and proclaim your unity. We praise you for your love you have called upon the people Israel to serve you. Let us continue on page 137 as we chant the Shema. And I just want to say this, and I'm very careful what I said. This is a melody that was created by both of these young people.
That's correct.
And you know what I mean by that.
Yes, thank you, Rabbi. Generous on.
I'm a generous soul, in spite of what people say.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivon Malchuto, Le'olam Le'olam. You shall love the eternal God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. You shall find them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be a symbol before your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house, on your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy to your God.
We are going to continue as we read these verses responsively on page 139. All this we hold to be true and sure. The Eternal One alone is our God, and there is none else. Through God's power alone has our people Israel been redeemed from the hand of oppressors. Great deeds God has wrought on our behalf, and wonders without number. The Eternal One has kept us in life and has not let our people's footsteps falter. God was with us during the long years of oppression. Our faith sustained us even when our people suffered the deepest anguish. And now that we live in the land of freedom, may we continue to be faithful to God and the teachings of Torah. May the Eternal One one's way guide our lives of all people, and unite our hearts in peace. O God, our refuge and our hope, we sing your praise as did our people in ancient days. Let us continue with Mi Chamocha on page 140. The people of Israel shall preserve the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout the generations as a perpetual covenant. It is a bond between God and the people of Israel forever. We continue with Vishamru. Friends, the Shabbat morning service, really all morning services in Judaism have two main elements. One is the Shema that Becky and Nathan chanted so beautifully, which is about hearing the Word of God, and which is from the Bible. This next prayer is called the Amidah. It's a standing prayer, so part of it I'm going to ask you to stand. And it's really kind of an affirmation of various ideas of how God brings blessing to our lives. On Shabbat, there are 7 parts of it. On a regular, on a weekday, there are 19 parts of it. So we're going to rise. There is the third section, which is called of it is called the Kedusha, and we'll remain standing through that, and then I'll ask people to sit if they so choose. So let's continue on page 142 as we rise for the Amidah. And let me begin with the English words, and then we'll read the Hebrew words together. We praise you, God of our mothers and fathers, God of Abraham, God of Sarah, God of all generations. You bestow loving kindness on all your people. You remember the devotion of those who came before us. And as you guided our ancestors with love, you offer hope to us, their descendants. You are our creator and helper, our guide and protector. We praise you, eternal God, shield of Abraham and help of Sarah. So in the middle of page 142, and it is transliterated at the bottom of the page, let us read the Hebrew together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Pasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Lifnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. We read together on the top of page 143. Infinite is your power, O God. Great is your gift of life. In loving kindness you sustain the world. Through the endless flow of your blessings you preserve all of creation. You uphold the falling and heal the sick. Free the captive and keep faith with your people in death as in life. Who is like you, author of life and death? We praise you, God, the source of eternal life. We continue with the Kedushah on page 144.
Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Kishem Shema Kishin mo'odo b'shem arum, Hakatuv ayad nevi'echa, V'kara ze'ezeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivot, Melech kol haaretz, Yevodo, Adir, Adirei Adonai, Adonai, Adir Shivach kol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mikamo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu Rabbeinu, hu Moshiach hu Yasmienu, V'rachama ve'emet kolcha. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Eloi Yitzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני האל הקדוש.
We read, you may be seated. We read together on page 146. Our God and God of all ages, grant that our worship on this Shabbat may be acceptable to you. sanctify us through your commandments, that the serenity of Shabbat may enter our lives. Teach us to be satisfied with the gifts of your goodness and grateful to rejoice to all that you bestow. Purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. Inspire us to preserve Shabbat as our heritage. May it ever bring rest and joy, peace and comfort to our homes. We praise you, God, who sanctifies the Sabbath. Let us continue on page 147 with Ritzeh. On page 147 in the middle of the page. On this Shabbat, as you receive our prayers, help us to more clearly hear your call. Grant us health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may be more aware of our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the kindness of heart to see the best in us around. Give us patience enough not to be discouraged, hope enough to overcome our fears for the future, and the vision to be aware of your presence, O source of all blessings. Look with favor upon us, and may our service be acceptable to you. We praise you, whom alone we serve in reverence. Let's join together on the top of page 149 as we read together our prayer for peace in the Amidah. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace. Enable our people Israel to be its messenger to all the world. Bless our country that it may ever be a pursuer of peace and its advocate in the council of nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and harmony among the inhabitants of all lands. Plant virtue in every soul, and may our love for you hallow every home and every heart. We praise you, O God, giver of peace, and amen. We continue with Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha.
Friends, we are going to continue with a prayer for healing that is found on page 10. And at this time, we just want to be mindful of those people that we know who are ill in body or in spirit. We pray for their well-being, and we pray for strength for those people who take care of them. So let me begin at the top of page 10. Prayer invites God's presence to lift our spirits. It allows the blessing and gift of hope to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Together, we pray for all people who are at this hour, are in sickness, in want, or in distress of body or spirit. We name in our hearts those who are near to us, and whose pain we feel pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing that they are not alone. We continue with Mishavera.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Bless those in need of healing with refuah Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing Amen.
Friends, we are going to continue now with the service for the taking out of the Torah, and we'll have the honor of hearing Ruby read from the Torah. I just want to tell you just a couple of things. This Torah is rather special. It is it's a Torah that was rescued from the Holocaust. It's called the Czech Torahs, and there are like 1,200, maybe 1,300 Torahs that were rescued, or after the Holocaust, there were like 1,300 Torahs that were in the museum or state repository in Czechoslovakia at the time. And so eventually, through a lot of interesting intrigue, and you could go to our website in the temple and read about it, the Torahs ended up in London, what's called the Westminster Synagogue. I've been there. If you're in London, it's worth going to see. And these Torahs were there as kind of protected. And then the decision was made, 50, 60 years ago, that these Torahs shouldn't be sitting there, but the Torah should be spread throughout the world. And our founding president of our congregation, Paul Ullman Jr., a wonderful man, I don't know the background of it, but he got one of these Torahs. And these Torahs are not ours. They're on loan to us. So we have this Torah in our congregation for maybe 50 years. And then at our 50th anniversary, I convinced the congregation, it's our 50th anniversary. This Torah has been sitting there. It's pasul. Some of the letters have flaked off, and once any letter flakes off, you can't use the Torah. So we need to find the money, and we need to restore the Torah. So you've got to ask the Westminster organization, the trust, if you can do that. They could do it. And the Torah has been repaired. It's much better than the Torah that we were using, because it's beautiful and it's lighter for some reason, for practicality. So we like to use it now for the B'nai and B'not Mitzvah. because it's about the renewal of the Jewish people. It's not a gimmick for us. It's not okay. We bring out the Holocaust Torah. No, it's the fact that the Torah has been part of our tradition for thousands of years, and we have this Torah. It was from a community that was almost destroyed. We renewed it, and it's about the eternity of the Jewish people. It's as simple as that. Second thing is, and this just happened before we started our service, this is the Talit from Burke's father, and we wrapped the scroll in it, since we don't have an ark. So I'm just glad we can do that. So I'm going to unwrap the Torah, and so it's not a mess. And Ruby, I want you to come up, please. I want everyone to stand, please.
Ruby, you can take your mask off, sweetie.
You take her. We want to see you. Beit Yaakov l'chul v'nelcha b'or Adonai, O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the eternal God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the eternal is our God, the eternal God is one. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, eternal is great, holy is God's name. You may be seated. This young lady over here, you think she's like Elijah the prophet. No, she's as important as Elijah the prophet in this context. This is Shira Ziegler, who has been Ruby's teacher, and she, I beg her to do bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah kids. So be very nice to her, because I have a few more that I want to give to her. She doesn't know it yet. Okay, so, but it's nice. She's a great teacher and a great role model, and I just want to acknowledge her presence here. So. I've never done a service with a dog in front of me. But, okay. So I could say it's against Jewish tradition, but it really is. However, I'm such a dog lover, I don't have the heart to tell a dog to get out of here. So my own personal feelings have override my support of the Torah. Okay, you don't have to bring her up to the park. We'll let her just wander a little bit. I'm willing to accept that, but we're not going to push it. Okay. So the first aliyah is given to Ruby's aunt. Where is she? Come on down.
You can take your mask off, Doug.
I'm the one in charge of the mask.
I would charge the dog, you're right.
There's always a power struggle, isn't it?
I'll follow the rules.
No, I'm just kidding.
Do you want me to take it off?
No, something. I'm really, it's fine. Just have to let me be sarcastic a little bit. Okay. So you're going to hold this, okay? And here, yes. I'm going to get over there for a second. Okay. So.
Okay.
But I'm going to first. Ruby is first going to show you where she's reading.
Okay.
She's reading right there. Hold the yad. Okay. So you just okay.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. You don't want to kiss it. Okay, fine.
Oh no, I will, but I have lipstick.
No, you don't want. I don't want lipstick in my collar. Okay. So.
This is going great, Titi.
Okay. Do Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Sure. Okay. Sure. Thank you. You can take this.
Okay.
And you're gonna touch it. Show her where it's doing it again. And you're gonna touch it. You're gonna do it. Just put it there.
Okay.
Okay. Then you kiss it. Perfect. Okay. Thank you,
Now
Shira.
go sanitize it. Thank you, Shira.
You don't know how many people have kissed this.
Okay.
Okay. So put your. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right.
Okay, so you can get it. Okay, hold it with you. Okay, so the reading is from the end of the Torah. This is when she was supposed to be reading it. It's a very beautiful reading about the place of the Torah in the life of the people of Israel, and the choices that the people have to make in relationship to the Torah. Ruby's going to talk about it later, so but that's the overall structure of it. Okay? Go ahead. Chant Mitzvah.
Oh, am I going? Or is she going?
Oh, you didn't do the blessing yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
Go
okay,
ahead.
so you want, okay.
I'm so ready for you to read the Torah. Go ahead. So you're going to do
The Baruch.
the Baruch.
Okay. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Le'olam Voed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Do I read this?
No, you're going to read right there.
Okay. Amen. Ki hamitzvah hazo asher anohi mitzvah hayam lamiflat himimka velo rehuka hi lo vashamayim hi lemor mi amar lanu hashamayma v'yikaheh halanu v'yashminu otah v'na'asena v'lo me'ever layam hi lemor mi amar lanu el ever hayam v'yikaheh halanu v'yashminu otah v'na'asena ki karo elecha hadavar ma'od v'fi havyavacha la'asoto.
You'll take that again, please. This is Ruby will show you where she ended,
Okay.
and you'll go there again. Okay? And you'll do the blessing after, please.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'ha'olam natan b'tuchenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Perfect.
Should I go?
No, we're not done yet. Do you want your parents to come up?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Should I sit down?
You please sit
Can I
down.
give her a hug?
You can do whatever you want. Okay. Burke and Maggie are coming up. And I just want to say, you guys have worked hard to make this thing happen.
Come on.
I mean, no, it's important, but I want you to know, and it means a lot how involved, Burke, you have been in sitting and studying with her. That doesn't happen all the time, I'm telling you. And that to me is one of the most beautiful parts of what we're creating here. So I've noticed it, and I want to acknowledge it. Okay? Okay. Now you're gonna have to do it again. Show where you're reading. Right there. Perfect. Okay. Okay.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Le'olam Voed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Voed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. You.
Okay. Amen. Re'ei natati lefanecha hayom et ha'hayim v'hatov v'tama v'tara asher anohi mitzvah hayom le'ahava et Adonai Elohecha la'lehevi jarhav lishmor mitzotav v'hukotav v'mishpatav.
Okay, right there.
V'hayita v'rabita v'rachecha Adonai Elohecha ba'aretz asher ata v'shama l'rishta v'yifne l'loha v'lo tishma v'nidachta v'hishtahavita l'lohim ahirim v'avatam.
Perfect. Show them right. Okay. Double down. Right there.
Baruch.
Oh, you did.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I wanted to say, I'm just gonna, don't leave.
Okay.
I'm just going to cover the Torah here as you talk to her.
Okay. I wrote a little something.
Okay, good.
Can I sit down?
Sure, if you want to. What's your
No,
vote?
it's not good. I don't want to get in
Okay.
front of the camera.
Can I put this down?
Yes, of course.
Don't hurt me with that. All right. I'm going to try not to get you up or embarrass you. But
Okay.
both of those things are going to happen, so just warning. Shabbat Shalom. I want to say a few things about the Bat Mitzvah girl here, but I have a few people to thank before I get to you. But trust me, Ruby, I'll get to you. First, I want to thank your Nana Papa and TT and Uncle Jimmy. Thank you for coming all the way from Florida to celebrate this day with us. It means so much to have you here, and this day would not be the same without you. I also want to thank the incomparable Deb and Al Wolf for being here. They were, and Morgan, they were here. They're my late great mom and dad's dear friends. Deb and Al are our closest family in Kansas City, and they have been a part of my life since I was a bar mitzvah boy. Sorry, I get a little verklempt. Thank you for being here. I want to thank Shira Ziegler, Ruby's tremendous Hebrew tutor who is here today, and for whom there would not have been a today without you, and just all your amazing teaching. I just love you. Countless lessons, unbelievable patience, and flexibility of Ruby's soccer schedule. Thank you for that. And I, of course, want to thank Rabbi Londe and our cantors, Becky and Nathan Bliss, for making Ruby's Bat Mitzvah happen during COVID times, and bring all the warmth and beauty and tradition of the new Reformed Temple to our home. Words cannot describe how happy we are to have you here and how honored we are to be hosting the Shabbat service, streaming live. I didn't even practice that. And now I have two special thank yous, and I promise these are my last. This help me here, okay? I may not do this. Okay? I want to thank my beautiful wife, Maggie. She is the rock of our family. Oh, those are kind. And easily the most selfless member. 20 years ago, you fell in love with a crazy Jewish boy. And though you grew up Catholic, you welcomed Judaism into your life. Not just for the amazing deli sandwiches, and deeper connection and understanding of Seinfeld, the greatest TV show ever created. You saw how Judaism was not just my religion, but it was the connection to my dad, who passed away when I was just a year older than Rubes is now. Man, sorry. And how raising our kids Jewish was a way of me having Papa Mike in all our lives. I'm sorry, I'm totally embarrassing Ruby. Ruby's like, I can't thank you enough for this gift. She is freaking out. I hear both my dad and my mom on these prayers that Ruby is singing today, and they sound happy, especially Day. And of course, Mags, I can't thank you enough for giving me Ruby. This part. I'll just start laughing through this. Is easy for me. Okay. Rubes, Rooster, Ruru, you are one heck of a kid, babe. Since the minute you came in our lives, you've been filling our hearts with so much joy, laughter, and pride. And as much as your mom and I wish you were still that little 3-year-old with the gigantic chubby cheeks and the food all over your face and the Hello Kitty dress with the matching neon leg warmers, seeing you as a young woman today on your bat mitzvah is hard to beat. You've grown into such an amazing person. You're wicked smart, dangerously funny, so determined, tough as nails, always kind, and so beautiful on the inside and out. Your mom and I are so proud of who you are and what you're becoming, and we're so proud of what you're doing today. So much work, so much time, and so much patience with your dad. When you're old like me and potentially dealing with lower back pain issues, more likely plagued with foot problems since we have the same flat feet, you will look back on this moment and the time we shared, and you will cherish it. And that's what our traditions give us. They not only tell us who we are, but they link us to one another in a deeper way through our hearts and our souls. Sorry. When you sing the Shema prayer at bedtime, when you make Day-Day's latkes on brisket with your kiddos at Hanukkah with Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song blaring in the background, when you remember to kiss the mezuzah as you run out the door, and when you honor your grandparents, your sites, and someday mom and dads. These traditions make life rich, and they connect us from generation to generation. Today we are bursting with pride, as your Dede used to say, cavilling. But I know this is embarrassing you, so I'm going to stop before you hit me, which you've done before. And I'm a little scared of you. But I just want to say thank you, Ruby. Thank you for taking all this on. And thank you for being wonderful. You are the light that brightens every day for Mom and I. And we love you so much. Bless you.
And Frank helped too. Frank did.
So yeah, Frank's the one that holds us.
Shout out to Frank.
So proud of you.
Yeah, guys, don't leave, because we're gonna, Maggie, why don't you come over this side again? I don't wanna block the camera, of course.
Yes.
Ruby, this is your aliyah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what's gonna happen is you're going to say the blessing, you're gonna read the Torah, you're gonna say the blessing after, and this is kind of a moment when it happens, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, are you ready?
Wait, what?
You know what I said? You know what I said?
Oh, wait, what?
What were the rules? Just do what I tell you to do and forget about it.
Oh, that is amazing.
I tell the B'nai B'no Mitzvah, don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, just do what I say. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we are going to. This is where you start the reading.
Okay.
So the first thing you have to do is just where you're reading. Just take this first, and I will just use this. Okay. Okay. And say the blessing before the Torah.
Right there, right? Or right there?
I'll show you before you do it. Just say the blessing first. Baruch Hu.
Okay. Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborah.
Baruch Adonai Mivarach Le'olam Boed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bani mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Higati lahem hayom ki avot tevedun lo ta'arihun yamin al ha'atama asher ta'over el hayarden levo shama l'rishta. Ha'idoti lahem hayom et hashamayim v'et ha'aret ha'hayim v'hamavet natati lefanecha ha'braha v'ha'kala v'hata b'hayim v'ma'ati fieh ata v'zerecha.
Keep going.
Where's the next?
Keep. Ahava. There, Ahava.
L'ahava et Adonai Elohecha Yishmor b'kolo u'davkavo ki hu hayecha v'orech yamecha la'asher el hadama asher nishba Adonai lavotecha l'Avraham v'litak'u Yaakov latet lahem.
Perfect. Blessing after. Take that. Blessing after. Right there.
Baruch atah Adonai.
No.
Oh yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hei olam nata b'tuneinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Yehelanu, 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 B'chol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, B'chol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, da 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 da. Da 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 da. We're gonna have to practice that. Okay, Okay, so we are, I didn't tell you you were going to do this. Burke, you have to lift the Torah into the stratosphere. Okay? And it's not, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Lucky. Okay, so we're going to ask everyone to please rise. And then what's going to, Maggie, we need you.
I'm right
Maggie,
here.
don't run away.
Me?
Yeah, okay. So you're going to, Bezot Torah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so heavy. Yeah. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's do it this way. I don't want the scene to break. You may be seated. We are going to continue. You're not going anywhere. I've never seen a bat mitzvah who wants to go into retirement so quickly. Okay, so we're going to chant the blessing before the prophetic reading, the Haftarah. You're going to do the Haftarah, then do the blessing after the Haftarah. Are we set? We all set? I got your speech is there. Okay. Please.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'minim tovim v'ratah v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah v'Moshe avdo v'Yisrael amo v'v'nbiei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Oh.
Goodness, she is.
Ben sheva shanim yiva'ach malcho Bisha sheva le'yehu Malach Yehuash V'arbaim shana Malach B'Yerushalayim B'Shem imo Tziviyami B'er Sheva B'yas Yehuash Hayashar B'nei Adonai Kol Yamav Asher Harahu Yehoyada HaKohen Rak Habamo Lo Saru Od Ha'am Mizbahim Katrim Babamot V'yomer Yehoash Al HaKohanim Kol Kesef HaKodashim Asher Yivav Et Adonai Kesef Over Ish Kesef Nefasho Erko Kol Kesef Asher Ya'aleh Ale Ish L'Haviv Et Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sur kol halamim Sadik b'chol hadarot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omir v'yaseh Hamdaber m'kayem She'kol devarav emet v'tzedek Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh She'natat lanu Adonai Eloheinu L'kdusha v'linuha L'chavod u'l'tifaret Al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach Numerim Otah Yiprashim ha'beficho chai Tami le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen. You did it. Okay, so you can see, be seated for a second. You sit next to Sheriff. Sit next to Sheriff for a second.
You're not finished yet.
You're not done yet. We are going to continue with the prayer for the country. You guys ready? Okay. You can come up here. We want you on camera.
You can take your mask off too, Joey.
Oh, there he goes again.
Oh, sorry.
Her skirt was slow.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Prayer for Our Country by Rabbi Eilert Cohen. Our God and God of our ancestors, bless this country and all who dwell within it. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and its circumstances. Don't mean, right? To be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Help us to channel our anger so that it motivates us to action. Help us to feel our fear so that we do not become numb. Help us to be generous with others so that we may raise each other up. Help us to be humble in our fear, knowing that as vulnerable as we feel, there are those at greater risk, and that is our holy work to stand with them. Help us to taste the sweetness of liberty, to not take for granted the freedom won in generations past or in recent days, to heal and nourish our democracy, that it may be like a tree planted by the water, whose roots reach down to the stream. It need not fear drought when it comes. Its leaves are always green. Source of all life, guide our leaders with righteousness. Strengthen their hearts, but keep them from hardening, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country share in its bounty, enjoy its freedoms, and be protected by its laws. May this nation use its power and wealth to be a voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on earth. May we be strong and have courage, to be bold in our action and deep in our compassion, to discern when we must listen and when we must act, to upfront bigotry, intolerance, misogyny, racism, discrimination, and violence in all its forms, to celebrate the many faces of God's reflected in the wondrous diversity of humanity, to welcome the stranger and the immigrant, and to honor the gifts of those who seek refuge and possibility here, as they have since this nation was born. Let justice well up like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Frank, we need you, my friend. Yeah, we need you.
Oh.
Ooh, okay, that's fine.
Did you get it?
I want us to wrap. I want you to put your grandfather's talit around the Torah. Can you do that? Yeah, we're gonna wrap it. See what we can. I'll help you. Okay, why don't we? I'm gonna lift it up and you try to wrap it up around. Take this underneath. Do the best you can. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Why don't we do that? Flip. Okay. What's that? Why don't you just pull that up? You got it. Great, that's good. Thank you. You can do that. We are going to continue as we complete the Torah service, and we're going to ask everyone to please rise. Behold, the good doctrine has been given to you. Guard it well. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. We continue with Eitz Chaim.
Eitz Chaim hi l'machzikim ba v'tomchecha
may be seated. Your time. I'm putting a talit around you just to keep you warm. Okay.
Wait, what am I doing? Oh,
The words of Torah that.
I think it's gonna fall off.
Oh,
Okay, fine. Okay. But you're freezing.
I'm okay.
Okay,
she's
good.
used to it. She's a kid.
Okay, she's used to it. Go ahead.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Rush it off.
I want to share with you some thoughts that I have about my Torah reading. My reading contains the following words. I set before you this day life and prosperity, death and adversity. For I command you this day to love the Lord your God, to walk his ways and to keep his commandments, his laws and his rules, so you may thrive and increase, and that the Lord your God may bless you in the land that you are about to enter and possess. This statement speaks about the choices that we must make in life. Every day we must decide what do we want to do and what we want to avoid. Moses is addressing this choice to the Israelites. Are they willing to commit to the Torah, or are they going to run away from its challenges? What Moses is asking the Jews to do is hard. Living by the rules of the Torah is not easy, but the most important things in life are often hard. This bat mitzvah was not easy. I studied for over 2 years. I practiced with my weird dad all the time, and even had to move it twice because of COVID. But I know this means the world to my mom and dad and carrying on the tradition of Judaism in my family. And now sharing my bat mitzvah with my papa Mike, who became a bar mitzvah in 1955. Though I'm the one up here, my bat mitzvah is bigger than me. It's my commitment to something bigger than myself. I learned this in my nightly Hebrew sessions with my dad, and before that, I learned it on the soccer field. I've been on the same soccer team for 5 years, and more important than any win is my teammates. Through injuries, sub-zero, and blazing hot temperatures, I played through it all, so I'll never let my team down. I have a commitment to my team bigger than myself. In a way, Moses is kind of asking the Jews to make a similar commitment by living the teachings of God. By doing that, they are committing to something bigger than themselves. I stand here along with all the Jews who have ever lived and all the Jews who will live in the future. That is a very big responsibility. Carrying on the traditions that make us who we are, living by higher standards, and showing love and empathy for those who don't even know. This is what becoming a bat mitzvah means to me this morning. I am part of the Jewish team and intend to remain part of it for the rest of my life. As long as I don't have to play goalie. I thank you all for sharing in this special moment in my life. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good job, Ruby.
Thanks.
Ruby. A few more minutes, okay? Okay. We've been waiting a long time for this, but I want you to know something. This is an important moment for the New Reformed Temple. Every bat mitzvah is, but this is the first bat mitzvah that we've had since COVID-19. And that's significant to us, because what you're showing is that through a most difficult period in our history, I don't remember anything more difficult, that we survived, and now you're affirming what this is, our tradition is about. I want to say two things. Number one is, it says in your reading that you read beautifully, Lo b'shamayim hi, the Torah isn't in the heavens. And what that means is that the Torah, Jewish tradition, isn't something far away. It's something that is very close. And I think it's really significant that this bat mitzvah is taking place in your home, where you live, where you grow up. Because the fact of the matter is that Judaism isn't about something out there. It's about what's in our own lives, how we relate to each other, the traditions that we pass on from one generation to the next. How your dad so beautifully spoke about how this links to what came before him, and how your mother and father have said that there is this gift. The gift isn't out there, the gift is here. Okay? That's number one. Number two is, next Sunday night is the beginning of the Festival of Suguwalt, where the Jews celebrate the giving of the Torah Mount Sinai. But there's a rather interesting thing. It's a celebration. It's called Matan Torah. It's the giving of the Torah. They don't say Kabbalat Torah. They don't say the receiving of the Torah. And what I think that means is that each one of us has to accept the Torah. Each one of us has to find a way to Judaism. And I think that's what your bar mitzvah speech was about. Saying, we have a choice in life. Are we going to follow the right path, or are we going to receive the tradition that we have come from generations before? And what you are saying today is, I'm willing to receive it. Now, I don't know how Judaism is going to play out in your life, but my prayer is that someday you'll be able to stand before your own child and say to them, I received this great tradition from my family. I remember my bat mitzvah when I was told that I was receiving something from the past, and I'm going to give you that. Because ultimately, the connection from one generation to the next is all that it's about. Now, one other thing. Your soccer playing is great, and I love it.
Yeah.
But don't hurt your head.
Oh, yeah.
You know my concern about, I know you don't agree with this. I don't know if you agree with that.
I agree with it.
The ball hitting your head. You have a beautiful head, you have a beautiful mind. Take care of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my little warning. We have here from the synagogue a copy of the Torah. Let me give it to you. And here is your certificate that says, this is a certified at Ruby, that's your Hebrew name. Ruby Jane Wasserman was called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah on Shabbat Bamidbar, the 15th of May 2021, corresponding to the 4th day of Sivan 5781. I have signed it. This is your certificate, and I want you to accept it as a sign of your connection to the New Reformed Temple and your heritage.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Now you're done. Okay, we're moving towards the conclusion of our service. Let's turn to page 368 and let us rise for the Elena, the Adoration.
Let us adore the offer praise unto you. We spread out the heavens and establish the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above, and your greatness is manifest throughout the earth. Our God, there is none else. אנחנו
Let us read together on page 369 these two English paragraphs. May the time not be distant, O God, when you shall be worshipped throughout the earth, when unbelief shall disappear and error be no more. Fervently we pray that the day may come when all people shall be guided by your teachings. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. Then all who dwell on earth shall know that to you alone every knee shall bend and every voice give praise. May all created in your image recognize that we are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and one in harmony we be forever united before you. Then shall your reign be established on earth, and the word of your ancient prophet be fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever. On that day the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one.
ביום ההוא
Learner's Kaddish on page 375 and 376. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yamad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'galav ezman kariv v'yamru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha v'rechu Le'ela ben kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata Damiran b'yomah v'yimru amen Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chagim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, let peace descend on us and all Israel and all the world, and let us all say amen. You may be seated. You know, the New Reform Temple is going through this incredible renovation that's taking place. Literally, our building is empty, and we're having a groundbreaking tomorrow in the congregation for this wonderful project where a lot of wonderful people have been working really hard to make it happen. And the synagogue is in effect has a precursor, which was the Beit HaMikdash, the temple in Jerusalem. That's one of the reasons we call it the New Reform Temple, because it's remind us of the temple that existed in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. But, and this is what I think makes this significant, really special to me. It would have been wonderful we could have it in the sanctuary, even renovated or before it was renovated. It doesn't matter. But according to Jewish tradition, the home is a mikdash ma'at. It's a small temple. It's a small synagogue. It's a small holy place. And on some level, and I said it obviously to Ruby, but I say it to you, is that there's something really beautiful that each one of us can take our homes and make them a holy place. And even though I look forward to the beautiful new sanctuary, we'll be able to celebrate, God willing, many smachot, many wonderful occasions in the years ahead as a congregation. I'm having it here in your home with this beautiful tent and your beautiful family and a lot of wonderful friends and family. And a nice dog, I must say. And with Becky and Nathan and Shira here. And a Holocaust Torah here. It just shows you we can make any place holy in the world. And that's the job, to make the world holy, wherever you do it. So thank you for allowing us to do this. I mean, I know we brought it in, but I know you've given the three of us a lot by allowing us to do this here.
Thank you.
So we're going to end our service in a beautiful way. Lechilach, it's about, it's based on that God tells Abraham to go into the world. And this is a piece that was written by Debbie Friedman, one of a really creative musical, really genius of decades before. And it's about making a journey, and hopefully will be a blessing wherever we go. So let's continue with 437 Lechilach.
Shall be a blessing, Lechilach. shall be a blessing lead aloud.
Shabbat shalom to everyone. Mazel tov, your family.
Photos up here real quick. She's what? Oh. Get a bagel.
Sorry. Crying like a baby.
Oh, it's your
You know something I said? There's two things that you don't do once in a while. Soccer and cheerleading. Take care. Thanks so much. Shabbat shalom.
If I know, so seriously, like when the kids are up here, I'm just and you guys are just so sweet. It was an honor to meet you. It was beautiful. Yes, yeah. Thank you, Shira. Thank you so much for all the running around with you kids too. You get it. I know. Pretty, but I think more than I said. She has one at one. Oh, yes. The beauty of it is I know. Yes, I get it. I get it. Thank you so much for coming. You'll be seeing Frank on the next one. So good. Well, he's 10 now. So,
We'll take some pictures of you.
yeah.
Thanks for having me.
What did you say?
Oh, yeah. All over.
Oh, it's a
You know what I mean? Like growing up and moving that around and like, you know, like, see how people do that, I was like, oh my God. Maybe they're the worst. We love you. Thank you so much. She was gonna hurt you.
Yeah. Oh, we never do, but yes, we can do it.
Got it.
I'll take that.
Early too. No, she was very, it's her very first time ever playing. Yeah, you guys should come out. Yeah.